This is Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.
Hello viewers, you're watching Pulse of Africa. I'm Adam Masai for the main news. First, our top stories for today. Ghanaian president urged inclusive governance and civil liberties protection across Africa. Rwanda and Congo hold first meeting of Joint Oversight Committee under peace deal. Zimbabwe is on track to achieve a forecasted 6% economic growth in 2025. Now the news in detail. Ghanaian President John Dramani Mahama called on African leaders to build a strong foundation for inclusive governance in the protection of the civil liberties of their citizens. Mahama said at the opening of the 13th African Union High-Level Dialogue on Democracy, Governance and Human Rights held in the Ghanaian capital of Accra that inclusive governance and the protection of civil liberties are essential building blocks for legitimate and resilient states. We must protect the freedom of the press and heed and protect the voice of the youth, women and marginalized groups, he said. Mahama also urged African leaders to back their democratic and governance commitments with concrete action, warning that citizens, especially the youth, are growing wary of unfulfilled promises. Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo held the first meeting of a Joint Oversight Committee on Thursday, taking a step toward implementing a peace deal agreed last month in Washington. The African Union, Qatar, and the United States joined the meeting of the committee in Washington, which was established as a forum to deal with implementation and dispute resolution of the peace agreement. The deal in June between Rwanda and Congo marked a breakthrough in talks held by U.S. President Donald Trump's administration, which aims to bring an end to fighting. In the Washington agreement, the two African countries pledged to implement a 2024 deal that would see Rwandan troops withdraw from eastern Congo within 90 days. It also said Congo and Rwanda would form a joint security coordination mechanism within 30 days and implement a plan agreed last year to monitor and verify the withdrawal of Rwanda's soldiers within 3 months. Uganda has commended China for supporting regional efforts aimed at promoting peace and stability in the Horn of Africa. John Mulimba, Uganda's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, made their remarks during the third conference on peace and development for the Horn of Africa, held in Uganda's capital, Kampala. China has consistently supported initiatives focused on regional dialogue and problem-solving, Mulimba said in his speech, noting that the region continues to face a range of challenges, including persistent insecurity, cross-border threats, environmental pressures, and economic fragility. In this context, the Global Security Initiative proposed by China contributes meaningfully to the international discourse on collective security, Mulimba said. Namibia on Thursday officially launched its national campaign under Africa Union's Transformative End for Learning Poverty for All in Africa initiative, reaffirming its commitment to improving foundational literacy and numeracy for all children. Namibian President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah underscored the urgent need to address the continent's education crisis. The fact that millions of African children cannot read or comprehend a simple text by age 10 is deeply concerning, she said, declaring the situation an African emergency and reaffirming Namibia's resolve to ensure every child achieves basic reading and math skills. We recognize that despite significant strides in access to education, far too many children are not achieving foundational literacy and numeracy by the end of primary school, she said, pointing out to recent assessment data exposing learning gaps, particularly in rural areas, informal settlements, and marginalized communities as an urgent call to action. In other news, the head of Russia's space agency Roscosmos said Thursday that he had agreed with his NASA counterpart during talks in the United States to extend the International Space Station's operation until 2028. Roscosmos said earlier this week that its chief, Dmitry Bakhanov, arrived in the United States for talks with NASA's acting administrator, Sean Duffy, the first such meeting since 2018. The dialogue went well. We agreed that we will operate the ISS until 2028 and we will work on the issues of deorbiting it until 2030, Bakhanov was quoted as saying by the TASS news agency. A milestone in U.S.-New Zealand law enforcement and intelligence cooperation, FBI Director Kash Patel traveled to New Zealand this week to open a dedicated law enforcement attaché office in Wellington. While the FBI has stationed personnel in New Zealand for several years, establishing a four-legged position. The country would strengthen and enhance the long-standing cooperation with a key Five Eyes partner in the Southwestern Pacific region. The FBI has had a strong relationship and collaborated closely with our counterparts in New Zealand for years, said Director Patel. Expanding the Wellington office demonstrates the strength and evolution of our partnership as we continue to work together to address our shared security objectives in the region.
The story of resurgent Ethiopia and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel, all the time. Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.
Now to business news. Zimbabwe is on track to achieve a forecasted 6% economic growth in 2025, helped by good agricultural output and strong commodity prices, Finance Minister Mthuli Nkumbi said on Thursday. The Southern African country's economy has shown signs of recovery in the first half of the year. Given the positive economic developments during the period January to June, we are confident that the projected economic growth of 6% alluded to in the 2025 national budget is achievable, Nkumbi told Parliament in a mid-year budget review. All sectors of the economy are expected to record positive growth in 2025, mainly on account of a favorable agricultural season, improved electricity generation, stable exchange rate, and inflation rate, he said. Finally, the global services trade growth slowed in the first quarter of 2025 to 5% year-on-year due to global economic uncertainties, the World Trade Organization said on Thursday. The appreciation of the US dollar against the euro and other currencies, coupled with increased economic uncertainty, contributed to the slowdown in services trade in the early months of the year, the World Trade Organization said. Global services trade growth slowed down in the first quarter of 2025 to 5% year-on-year, roughly half the pace recorded in both 2024 and 2023, it said. It added that services exports in Europe and North America increased only by 3% year-on-year in the first quarter of 2025, down from 8% and 11% respectively in the first quarter of 2024. Before concluding, let us provide you with the latest updates on global commodities prices. Now to weather updates. That's all for today, and thank you for watching Pulse of Africa.
This is Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.